What's happening, Liberty lovers? Today on the Liberty Cast, Robert Francis is back. Yes, he is running for governor of the great state of Texas. So let's lay the smackdown on that campaign.
Hit it, sweetheart.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Now, I refuse to call the Irish kid by the nickname that he gave himself. I just refuse to do it. And let's not forget, this is relevant because he's running for governor, he was arrested for drunk driving and burglary. He wasn't convicted, so I guess it's not really disqualifying, even though it should be. But his daddy was a judge, and I believe he was a judge, and got it squashed for him. But even despite all of that, people still think he is a viable candidate for, or at least he thinks he's a viable candidate. He tends to lose, so maybe not. Oh, but anyway, do you remember this?
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Yeah, that guy wants to be governor of Texas. Texas, of all places. Now, that was his most viral moment of the campaign, the failed campaign. But there was a lesser known moment that didn't get a whole lot of play. It did in certain 2A advocacy circles, and I believe I played it on an episode of my show. But this is a lesser known moment that, to me, betrays a far more sinister outlook on the Second Amendment.
But I hear you in your reading of the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment, that's your interpretation of it. The consequence of that is that we now have military-grade weapons, more than 10 million of them, in the hands of our fellow Americans, not latently waiting for use against the government, being actively used against us in our communities, in our churches, in synagogues, out on a Saturday night partying and having fun in downtown Dayton or at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. And so I want to make sure that we protect your right to use a firearm to hunt or to defend yourself in your home. But if it is a right to be able to rise up or stand against your government, I don't accept that. That's not my reading of the Constitution.
And of course, it was an event for Robert Francis, so of course people clapped. But that's sad. That's really sad. And those guns of which he spoke, that are being used to attack people in churches and synagogues and out on the street and those other incidents that he mentioned, law-abiding citizens are not the ones committing those crimes. By definition, tautologically. And the Second Amendment, just so that we're clear, the Second Amendment was not put in place to protect your right to hunt. This guy. Colion Noir broke down that appearance he did quite well. I haven't been able to find the raw footage of it. I got that from the video that Colion did. But yeah, and you can go on his channel and check out the whole thing. Like I said, he did a really good job breaking it down. But I want to focus on that clip, that one soundbite. He either is conveniently forgetting or never learned. I suspect it's the former. But he's conveniently forgetting that the founders fought the most powerful military in the world at that time. In no small part because they wanted to take guns. They tried to take the guns. There were other factors, obviously, I'm well aware of that, but we're focusing on the Second Amendment piece. So they put the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights to guarantee that the people would have the ability to do the exact same thing all over again if the government turned tyrannical, which it is in the process of doing as we speak. So whatever his reading of the Second Amendment is, it reminds me of that whole your truth, my truth thing. There is no your truth, there is no my truth, there is only the truth. So there is no my reading of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment says what it says, period. So obviously he is 100%. He couldn't be more wrong if he said 2 + 2 = apple. Now, those comments were from 2019 during his failed presidential campaign. And now, obviously, like we mentioned, he's eyeing the governor's mansion here in 2022. And he's striking a somewhat different tone. Somewhat.
I'm not interested in taking anything from anyone. What I want to make sure that we do is defend the Second Amendment. I want to make sure that we protect our fellow Texans far better than we're doing right now, and that we listen to law enforcement, which Greg Abbott refused to do, turned his back on when he signed that permitless carry bill that endangers the lives of law enforcement in a state that has seen more cops and sheriff's deputies gunned down than in any other.
Okay, he's clearly got some media consultants who have advised him to tone down his anti-Constitution, anti-gun rhetoric. But he just cannot help himself. He cannot help himself because he feels this anti-gun sentiment deep in, almost on a cellular level, like pretty much all the rest of the leftists do. Because he says on one hand that he wants to protect the Second Amendment, and then goes and slams the constitutional or permitless carry law that Governor Abbott signed. So what he's saying is he wants to repeal constitutional carry. I don't know how he thinks that's going to fly here in Texas. But he wants to repeal it, claiming that the constitutional carry is the reason why police officers are being gunned down at such a rate. But and it's so obvious that and I say this all the time, it's like they're doing it on purpose. The reason why cops are being attacked and murdered at the rate that they're being attacked, and not just here in Texas, but all over the country, it's because of these leftist district attorneys who refuse to prosecute crime and let these violent felons out on the street. That is the reason. There is no other reason. That is the reason. The criminals who these George Soros-backed DAs let out on the street, they're not buying their guns. They're not filling out 4473s. They're not submitting to NICS checks. They're getting those guns passed around illegally, buying them illegally, stealing them. My guns have not shot anyone. My guns have not shot anyone, and I dare say that anyone watching this, unless you were unfortunate enough to have to use your firearm to defend yourself or your family or something like that, none of your guns have shot anyone either. Just a thought. Now, I would like to believe that this clown has no shot at the governor's mansion. But so many people have left these blue state leftist enclaves like California and New York and Washington State and have relocated here to Texas and brought their ridiculous leftist voting records with them. Here's hoping, though, that the epic failure that has been this first year of the Biden administration dissuades them from voting that way again and putting this guy in the governor's mansion here in Texas, because that would be a disaster. That would, now the legislature is still. Then again, I was going to say the legislature is still mostly conservative, but if he were to win, well, wait a minute, Biden won allegedly, and they were conservative. That's another video. Anyway, folks, that is our wrap for today. I want to thank you all for checking us out. Please share these episodes and help spread the message of freedom and liberty. And remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. So keep your head on a swivel and stay safe, everybody.